Yeah, questions?
So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a slokam that says that the person who's performing the yajna is Brahma, the ghee is Brahma, and the fire is Brahma.
Wow.
So then if all of that is Brahma, then why do we do it?
Yeah.
We're just doing it to
You
Brahma,
remember the
not
sloka?
Brahma.
You say that sloka when you are eating food, right? Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina. Anybody know that sloka?
That's my question.
నీకే వచ్చింది థాట్
Wow.
మై గాడ్
Yeah. Yeah, this is a beautiful sloka. We'll say that after I answer this. We all will say. Very good sloka to memorize and remember. So, there Brahma is not the Lord Brahma, the creator Brahma. There the Brahma is the total substratum Brahma, substratum of everything. Everything that is real and everything that is imaginary. But yajna is there to teach you that final lesson. And that final lesson is that when you look at yajna, what is happening? So let's look at all the elements in a yajna. In yajna, there is a karta, a performer. Okay? This is called sometimes yajamana, but karta, doer. The karta will take a big long spoon. It's called sruk or sruvam. There are two kinds of things. And this is the instrument of offering. What is this? Instrument of offering. Therefore, it is called arpanam. Okay? And with the instrument of offering, you take the actual sacrifice. That is havis, ghee. So, Brahma havihi, Brahmarpanam Brahma havihi. And the fire is there. You pour it in that. And who is pouring this? This karta, this doer is pouring it. And where does this go after you pour it? It goes to that whoever deity that you are offering. Say, Indraye na idanna mama, and then you make an offering. And they say this offering must go to Indra. The Agni is the one that will take it and deliver it to Indra. And Varuna, na idam namama, and then they will take it and give it to Varuna, like that. So that's how this whole setting is. So in this setting, what this sloka is saying, this sloka is actually a mantra. It is saying, Brahmarpanam, the instrument is Brahman only. Brahma havihi, the sacrifice is also Brahman. Brahmagnau, the fire is also Brahman. Brahmanahutam, the first person who is offering is also Brahman. Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, it will go to Brahman. Brahma karma samadhina, this whole process when you dissolve everything into Brahman, that means there is no doer, there is no instrument, there is no sacrifice, there is no fire, there is no recipient. This whole thing is dissolved into the one singular consciousness called Brahman consciousness or Brahman awareness. But in order to get there, right now, do you see it? You see yourself and myself to be different, don't you? You see yourself and this house to be different, don't you? So as long as you see the differences, you have to practice this yajna. So what this yajna does is, it brings more and more and more purity. And as you bring more and more purity, in your mind, everything is compartmentalized. I am this. This is Apaji uncle. This is house. Like that, in your mind, everything is compartmentalized. Everything is different. But where is all these things? In your mind. What is your mind? It's just intelligence. Right?
Yes.
But where is the compartmentalization coming? Are you putting plastic into the intelligence to make walls, compartments, building wall? No, nothing, right? So how are the compartments coming in intelligence? It's only intelligence made up that stuff. Intelligence is thinking, I am different. This is different. There is no foreign material in intelligence to separate these things out. So when all those differences are resolved, when the mind becomes really pure, then there is one singular consciousness that dawns, that is called Brahman awareness, and this is called Brahma karma samadhi. So that is the ultimate state they are talking about. But what is the path to that ultimate state? You have to start resolving differences. Right now, differences are not a problem, right? You're young people, you don't have much problem with conflicts and differences. But elderly people, we know there's so many conflicts. There are some people, morning to evening, they will be reading news channels. They have endless conflicts in their heads. Everything is conflicting. Same intelligence broken down into, shattered into tiny, tiny, tiny pieces, conflicting each other. It is an enormous burden. Like you, sometimes when too many conflicts arise, you will recognize. Like for example, you have a music class to attend and you have a satsang to attend, then you want to play and a friend calls and says, hey, can we go to a movie? Now you have to resolve the conflict between these four things. That's not fun, right? Is that fun when you have so many conflicts like that? So when you have conflicts like that, you need to have a method of resolving those conflicts. And the yajna is a way of resolving conflicts. Why?
It's step-by-step reduction.
Yeah, first sacrifice, individuals making contributions into collective. When you are making individual into collective, what is happening? Everything is becoming collective. Everything is uniformizing. All the differences are erased. So all the barriers and conflicts are removed. So by performing this yajna process, you remove conflicts slowly and slowly, and you bring that uniform awareness. So when yajna is performed properly in the right way, you will be able to focus and meditate better, and you will see one commonness in many, many, many things. Otherwise, you cannot offer anything into collective. If you have to offer something into collective, it means that the collective will take everything together, right? It will mix up everything and it becomes one uniform thing. So that is the highest state that you are talking about. That's called Brahma Karma Samadhi. Right? You have a question?
Yeah, I just want you to please clarify. In these Pancha Yajnas, where is Swadharma coming? Because you want to be close to your inner nature, right? So unless you do Swadharma, you don't feel the full grounded nature. Conflict I'm also asking for my own son. So when there is conflict, that creates anxiety. So to reduce the anxiety, you got to go step by step. Have step-by-step instructions or a checklist or something that you can check off and feel fulfilled for the day. So how can you bring Swadharma into this Pancha Mahayagnyas and then reduce the conflict that today's world is creating for these kids by creating too many obligations?
Yeah, beautiful question. Swadharma obviously links, and that's why I carefully planted some ideas. Like some people like music, always drawn to music. Some people drawn to drawing. Like that, some people drawn to science. So I carefully planted those ideas. I'll come to that, but after saying this shloka, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi. So please everybody say with me. Brahmarpanam
Brahmarpanam
Brahmahavihi
Brahmahavihi
Brahmagnau
Brahmagnau
Brahmanahutam
Brahmanahutam
Brahmaivatena
Brahmaivatena
Gantavyam
Gantavyam
Brahma Karma Samadhina
Brahma Karma Samadhina
Brahmarpanam
Brahmarpanam
Brahmahavihi
Brahmahavihi
Brahmagnau
Brahmagnau
Brahmanahutam
Brahmanahutam
Brahmaivatena Gantavyam
Brahmaivatena Gantavyam
Brahma Karma Samadhina.
Brahma Karma Samadhina.
It's a beautiful sloka, and there is a lot more meaning. We will discuss it later. But coming to Swadharma. So Swadharma, what is Swadharma? I use the word Swabhava. Okay, Krishna.
A person's natural yearning or natural direction or
Grounding.
or the general subject or their limited range of subjects sorry for my wording. The range of subjects that they're most directly attracted to, or the way their mind thinks.
Is that Swabhava or Swadharma?
That the thinking portion would be Swabhava, but the Swadharma would be the tasks
That
that
arise
they-
from that.
Yes.
Okay. So Swabhava is inner nature. We talked about that. And Swabhava is same as the earth that is submerged in the water.
Yeah.
It is the same thing that Varaha, Lord Varaha lifted up. Right? And it is the same thing that we have to cultivate. But it is the Swabhava, it is our basis. You cannot change it tomorrow. You can change it very slowly. Right? But if you completely operate outside your Swabhava, it will create a huge, immense conflict within us. Say somebody is really interested in sports and you force that person to become a software engineer. What happens? The person has a big conflict. His inner core is cracked. And this conflict will be passed down generation after generation to several generations. And it has happened in Indian communities. Indian families, because they lost their Swabhava, Swadharma and all these things, they have propagated bad conflicts generation after generation. So we have to stay within, I'm not saying that you have to be in total alignment with Swabhava, but you should not develop huge conflicts with your Swabhava. You understand that difference? I'm not saying that be aligned with your Swabhava. What I'm saying is don't develop conflicts with your Swabhava. For that, for not developing great conflicts and also having a meaningful life, the Vedas, the Shastra, has provided bunch of guidelines. So it said you can understand Swabhava broadly in 4 categories. So how are these 4 categories coming? We talked about 3 gunas, right? What are those 3 gunas?
Sattva,
Sattva,
Rajas,
Rajas,
Tama.
Tamas. And you remember what Sattva is. What is Sattva? Sattva is you sit quietly, attentively, but calm and peaceful. You are able to do anything, but you are calm and peaceful. You are not dominated by activity. You are dominated by knowledge. But what is Rajoguna? Dominated by lots of activity. What is Tamoguna? Dominated by sluggishness, laziness, etc. So Tamoguna draws us towards sense pleasures. Rajoguna draws us towards lots and lots of activity.
And running in stress.
Sattva draws us towards knowledge and sukham, happiness, comfort, all these things. So everybody's swabhava, inner nature, is made up of a combination of these 3. Sattva, because it is knowledge based, and tamoguna, because it is ignorance based, they cannot be dominant combination. You cannot combine them together without a catalyst rajoguna. So therefore you will have only 4 combinations. That means sattva guna can dominantly combine with rajoguna, or rajoguna can dominantly combine with tamoguna. So here sattva more dominant, rajo less dominant, and tamoguna very tiny. This is called a brahmana varna. Rajoguna more dominant, sattva less dominant, and tamoguna very tiny. This is the second option here.
Kshatriya.
This is kshatriya. And similarly, rajoguna more dominant, tamoguna less dominant, but sattva somewhere down here.
Vaisya.
Very little, that is Vaishya. And Tamoguna more dominant, Rajoguna less dominant, and Sattva very tiny, that is Sudra. Like that 4 broad categories were given. These are based on guna makeup, not by birth, not by inheritance. It's not inheriting quality. It's not like a parental inheritance, right? Let me complete this. So like that, 4 major categories are there. So Shastra has provided guidelines. If you like generally knowledge, let that be science, let that be arts, let that be music, let that be any of those things. You like to learn and you have to thrive to teach. So for that there is a guideline. You do all those kind of activities, right? So that aligns with the Swabhava that way. Some people are more rajo dominant. They want to do, they are go-getters, they are action oriented. So that means knowledge can only support them. That's not in the forefront. Action is in their forefront. So therefore, they will acquire necessary knowledge, but use that knowledge to help everybody. That is the guideline given by Shastra. If you do that, then you are in alignment with your Swabhava. Not alignment, you are not developing a huge conflict with your Swabhava. So therefore, your activities will not create conflict for you. You will have a life, but then you can also slowly transform your Swabhava and liberate. That becomes Swadharma. So this is called Swadharma. You understand? Swadharma is Shastra designed activity or Shastra guided activity that does not develop serious conflicts with your Swabhava, inner nature. In a long definition, but I'm trying to be as perfect as possible. So, can anybody say it simply? You don't have to be long definition like me.
So there is knowledge, and then action, and then a form of sluggishness that keeps you down a little bit.
No, that's okay. No, define what Swadharma is. Last thing I said.
Just define it.
Simply.
The combination. Okay. The combination of the three primary qualities of a person that determine their general behavior.
General Swabhava.
And their general Swabhava that determines the type of tasks that they're best acquainted for.
But who is designing Swadharma? Are you designing it yourself according to your Swabhava?
The Shastra.
Shastra guided. That is important. If somebody is born innate talent for music, so they have designed a career for music career for themselves. Like there are a lot of musicians, rap music, this music, that music. That is not Swadharma. What is Swadharma? Swadharma is Shastra designed or Shastra guided. Shastra guided activities that does not put you in serious conflict with your inner nature. So I'll give an example. There are two music geniuses, right? One person's name is Tyagaraja. Other person's name is Michael Jackson. Both are musical genius, no doubt about that. Michael Jackson designed his own path, carved out his own stuff. Tyagaraja followed what Shastra said, followed that guidelines. Who ended up where? Everybody knows, right? Who liberated? Who became a saint? Tyagaraja is a liberated soul because he used Swadharma, and that is in alignment with his Swabhava, and that really liberated, took him to moksha. And his Artha Kamas were also satisfied. His family was taken care of. He was able to feed his family. They lived peacefully, happily. Everything was fine. But in other case, he's designed his own, wanted Artha Kama, not aware of moksha at all, and went into all kinds of controversies and all kinds of mess. The life is a wasted away life. So, if somebody has a Swabhava, if they do not understand what that Swabhava is, then they can waste it away. Everybody has Swabhava, so you have to understand it. And then you also have to understand what Shastra is guiding you to do with that type of Swabhava. And then you have to follow those guidelines and conduct your life. Shastra is not saying you have to do only this. It gives a guidelines. You can shift the Swabhava. So that is Swadharma. So Swadharma is Shastra guided lifestyle or practice or tasks or anything that puts you in roughly in alignment with the Swabhava. But the idea is not to strengthen the Swabhava. Idea is to reform the Swabhava. That's why I was always telling, do not develop a great conflict with your Swabhava. Everybody understands that? I know it's a big, tough concept for kids, but we will talk more and more about it.
It's needed because at some point of time they have to choose their career. And as their Sanatana Dharma teachers, we want to make sure that they choose the right career and also be in peace with it.
So let me give you a bunch of examples.
But one question though. So let's say Tyagaraja Swami, for example, Is his Swadharma music or Unchavritti? What is his Swadharma? If we have to.
He was, his Swabhava is total Brahmana. In that Varnashrama Dharma, his Swabhava is Brahmana. That means he will become excellent in one thing, learn about it, teach, propagate. That's what he must do.
Swabhava.
That is his Swabhava. But that Swabhava is towards music. His genius is in music. So he did not, because he has Brahmana Swabhava, he did not study Vedas, start teaching Vedas, not like that, right? He studied some Sangeetam and he started composing, he started offering all those compositions to the Lord and started propagating that. So, in the same way, if somebody is a Kshatriya, let us say a born Kshatriya, but the Kshatriya, traditional Kshatriya tasks are gone, he went into politics. Is that in alignment or not?
It is.
Yes, it is in alignment.
It is.
So, like that, there are Shastra guided things, and you have to identify what those are. So, Brahmana means knowledge dominant, less action. So, action must support and subordinate knowledge.
I'm trying to understand where music fits in here, like in the Swabhava or Swadharma.
Swabhava.
In the Swabhava, okay.
And Swadharma is, as a Brahmana, he should not look for making money. That's why he lived most simplest life. He practiced Siloncha. He didn't practice Silam, he practiced Uncham. Uncha is a kind of way of living, very meager living, satisfied with meager things. And that's what is required for every Brahmana, traditionally. And he really followed it in the traditional sense because he could. I don't think these days you can. These days Silam and Uncham are not possible.
Yeah.
If you see Narayan Murthy falls under the same category, right? I mean,
But he is Infosys, he
he's-
makes money.
yeah, Infosys is making money, but he himself, the way he is leading, right? He is supporting his knowledge with action. So in his case, the action is not predominant. He got the knowledge and he shared the knowledge so that he is bringing several other people up. So in a way, but he is not leading the life of a very popular person. Like he is still, I mean, Tata's also Ratan Tata, right? He is, so in his way, maybe I think he is more like an action-oriented person. More action is dominant and less
Kshatriya
less of
type of.
knowledge, because he's not just gaining knowledge. He gained a particular branches of knowledge, streams of knowledge, but then he was able to set up so many enterprises. So that enterprise is where I'm looking that he's converting his knowledge into action. So in that case, maybe he was more action-oriented with the support of the knowledge.
So there is a mixture of Kshatriya and Vaishya there.
Correct.
Because Vaishya is, knowledge is bottom there,
Correct.
but deriving whatever those benefits are, economic benefits are, like pleasures, luxuries, comforts, and all those things, they fall under Tamaguna. And entering and doing great action, combining all these things,
Rajas.
will be Rajas.
Rajas.
So Vaishya is somebody, the name itself is Vaishya, means to enter. Enter into anything and everything and run it profitably very well. So that is Vaishya. So take knowledge little bit, but then the idea is apply, enterprise, and then do a lot of activity about it. So that is economic activity, all kinds of economic activity, money making, all that is Vaishya.
But I think we started this whole conversation by trying to understand our inner nature. Why is it that it's very few people who are able to realize that inner nature, right? So for example, we can count, the people who are like Ratan Tatas or Bill Gates or, all this. So it seems like at some point in time, they realize their inner nature very early enough in their whole lifeline. So they've kept on having these yajnas, which is like they were performing these ahutis or yajnas, and then it made them pulled them to the highest level. So to me it seems that for some people, for me, the whole life process is to realize my own inner nature, and my life is ending. So I think that the volume of people who are in the process of realizing their inner nature is very big. There are only very few people who are able to realize the inner nature very early in their timeline. so that they are performing these yajnas throughout the remaining part of the life, and hence it is reaching them to the. In that also there are two categories. One like Tyagaraja and Michael Jackson, both realize their inner nature. Both of their inner nature was music, but the kind of yajnas that they were performing was different, and that is the reason they both took their lives took a different turn towards the end, right?
One towards liberation, one
Yeah,
towards downfall.
but realizing that inner nature both were able to do. To me, the struggle is I am not able to realize. I mean, not a struggle. Is it really necessary to even realize that inner nature? I am questioning myself. I mean, why should you even do that?
No, everything you said makes a lot of sense, Andy. But one thing I did not understand is, or maybe I still am not able to comprehend, is if we end up realizing our inner nature, then there is no question of doing a wrong yajna emo అని అనుకుంటున్నాను.
That is true. Because what you're saying
So
is
Michael
I'm putting my
Jackson-
energies in the right direction.
Yeah,
right?
Michael Jackson did not realize his inner nature
No.
అని నేను
I
అనుకుంటున్నాను.
don't think so. I think he realized it.
Now, there is
Difference.
actually a misinterpretation of yajna used here.
Okay.
So, the yajna process is required for us to realize inner nature, and for some people the yajna is very little. For some people you have to do elaborate yajna.
Okay.
So why? Because for some people the inner nature is so compelling, they are drawn towards it. They doesn't require any hard work. It is already there, available for them because they are drawn towards it. But what they do once they found out, once they realized, is it liberating to them or is it binding to them? So in Michael Jackson case, it is binding, ever binding.
So that means you are agreeing that he found his inner nature before?
He is drawn to it already. So also there is one other word that we used, Shraddha, right? So what is Shraddha? Listen to this carefully. Shraddha is a consolidation of our entire life's experiences and our beliefs, all our activities. And this consolidation occurs at the time of abandoning the body. That means at the time of death. And that consolidated swabhava is passed down to the next life. And that becomes the basis of Shraddha. So everybody is born with an innate Shraddha. That Shraddha could be Rajasic Shraddha, could be Tamasic Shraddha, or could be Sattvic Shraddha. Or it could be any of these three categories. So people who have born with immense Shraddha on one thing, they're naturally drawn to it. They don't have to do yajna to discover what their swabhava is. So yajna is required for three things. First, discovering swabhava if we don't already know it. Number two, uplifting the swabhava if it is already submerged in waters, in worldly waters. Number three is to cultivate it, to transform it. So those people who are drawn naturally to their swabhava, already acting in alignment with it, they are just strengthening the swabhava. They are not necessarily doing a yajna to reform it or to cultivate it and use that basis for liberation. So a lot of these people, great successful people, they are successful not because they have done yajnas. They are realized about their swabhava very early on
And strengthening it.
and acting with the sake of kama, artha, kama, artha. But only those people who have used it, cultivated it for the sake of liberation would be able to perform, would require to perform yajna and would be able to do yajna. Tyagaraja, what he did is jnana yajna throughout his life. Of course, he also did Panchamaha yajnas also. Right? So the confusion is coming where that people who attain success is not because of yajnas. People who are attaining material success is because they are not doing yajnas.
That's where I think I was kind of contradicting. Like, if anyone has material success, then can we take it for granted that what they were doing is not?
No, you cannot take it for granted. People can have material success and yet completely untouched by it.
Okay.
It appears to us that they have material success, but in their mind they are not touched by it at all. They don't care about it. And those are the yogis.
It
you will-
boils down to what they are thinking inside
Yeah.
their mind.
everything is inside, not what we see.
Okay.
So
Got it.
some of the great successful people that you mentioned, some of them could be performing a inner yajna that we don't see. They have achieved great material success and reached heights. Yeah, well, that's what we see. But we cannot take it for granted that they have not done yajnas, or we cannot take it for granted that they have done yajnas.
Got it.
Yeah. So it depends on how much stickiness they have to that success. Like some great, for example, Sadhguru Jaggi was there. He has reached so high, now he's almost on top of the world, this Sadhguru, Jagat Guru, or whatever it is. How much it has gotten into him is what determines whether he will be liberated or not. But for us, we can't really see anything, right? And similarly, Tata, he has acquired so much wealth and he completely never owned it in his mind. Then he has been performing yajna all along.
Got it.
Only with yajna you will reach that state. Despite of having all that, you will be untouched by it. Yeah.
I think this is a very big topic. I have a lot of follow-up questions because, not for myself. If it's for myself, I would ask you later. But to help these kids choose their correct career path is the goal I have in my mind.
Yeah. So the idea of planting all these things into their head is they will keep on asking these questions and come back to the roots and how can I resolve any conflicts that arise in our head. So that's the reason why I'm putting into their heads and also parents' heads, right? So eventually this discussion will come. These questions will come 100 times, but even 101th time is not a wrong time to, or a wrong question to ask, because these questions will be discussed repeatedly. Let's pass the floor to them.
We are 2 minutes
Questions.
past though, but yeah. Go ahead.
So this isn't more of a question.
You're stating an observation.
No, but I think perhaps at my age, I'm already hitting 15. So I think the crisis that you're talking about right now, I'm having a similar
Conflict.
yes, mental conflict or
I asked the question to benefit you.
I know. I wouldn't say like I don't know where I'm going, and I would not say that I'm making progress towards knowing where I'm going. But I would certainly say that at this age, I'm in a period of like mental turbulence.
That's okay. You don't give your personal things because it is being recorded. Just ask the question.
So, what age would you say would be best to know exactly where you need to go, what you need to do, what career that you need to decide?
There is no fixed age by which you need to know. Those people who knew early on what they are, what they know, they're lucky people. For a lot of people, it is not a thing, because particularly in traditional Indian households, the conflicts are passed down generation to generation, then clarity. That's the reason why, like, I'm also in the same boat. I sometimes say I don't know what I really want, what I really am. But now I have good awareness of Swabhava because I have been studying Shastra and I understand my Swabhava and Swadharma very well. So if you don't understand what your Swabhava is, then you have to constantly pay attention to
Swadharma.
no. If you want to know your Swabhava, what
Inner.
automatic habits.
Automatic habits.
Yeah. What are your automatic habits? Know what your automatic habits are. You have an idea, but probably every day just sit for a moment and think, what did I do automatically without paying attention? What was my behavior like? So you have to have a self-awareness. And that self-awareness is a blessing for human beings. Other animals are not self-aware. They see a reflection in the mirror. If you take a dog in front of a mirror, it will start barking, thinking it's a different dog. But human being, human child, very little baby, taken in front of a mirror, it will investigate very quickly and figure out its own reflection. So only human beings are aware of
Self.
blessed with this self-awareness. So become self-aware. That means you start observing yourself. Start observing, what did I do? That's what you do when you contemplate, when you take a moment to think about. So, and that's why people become shy. If I say, okay, come on, give a talk, and they become little shy. Little kids, 2-year-old kid. Why? Why do they have shyness?
It's not in their swabhava, is it?
They're
Because they are
self-aware.
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 Animals don't never feel shy.
Animals don't have self-awareness.
వాటికి అంటే దే డోంట్ హ్యావ్ దీస్ ఎమోషన్స్ లైక్ మొహమాటం షైనెస్ ఆర్ ఈగో దే జస్ట్ గో బై ఇన్స్టింక్ట్స్.
So we have to use that power of self-awareness. We should watch ourselves. Sometimes watching others is a good guide. Like sometimes you see somebody doing sloppy stuff, then you make fun of them and say, am I making sloppy stuff? Am I behaving foolishly? Then you start observing a little. The moment you observe, then a feedback loop establishes and you will be able to understand your behavior. You will be able to understand your fears. Everybody knows what they're afraid of. She said what she is interested in. You know what you like. You know what you're afraid of. So like that, you will know what your automatic habits are. The best way to track down what your swabhava is to observe yourself. Nobody can work it out and say, hey, there you go, this is your swabhava. That won't happen.
As an adult, what would you say are the general difference between the fears of a child, the emotional turbulence of a child or a teenager compared to that of an adult?
All fears will go away.
When you're an adult?
Yeah. As you mature, your fears will go away. This is the power of self-awareness too. The more you become self-aware, you will be able to defeat those programs automatically acting within you to fail you.
All adults are not fearful. I mean, there are many adults that are.
They're not very self-aware. As simple as that.
That's what
People
it
haven't-
Self-aware, you won't have these
Yeah.
fears. Yeah.
So, but as you are becoming older, you will become more mature and more self-aware. Of course,
Yeah.
they will have
I
fears
think
too.
that is what life's
You're able to-
situations are.
I think once you're able to connect the
Yeah.
dots,
Yeah.
you will be more self-aware and you know if something's if this is right or this is wrong or this is the right path I'm going in.
Yeah.
You will start looking at, things will start speaking to you. It will tell you that, oh yeah, this is the right way. I am on the right path.
Yeah. Exactly. For adults, the big enemy is not being self-aware. Their wrong assumptions. Some people assume, they just simply take wrong assumptions, maybe pass it down from the previous generation or whatever it is. For example, like a child is hurt, they will cry out loudly everywhere. Everybody will hear and they will cry and hug their mom and all that. But as you are growing, what will you do when something like that happens? You won't cry out that loud.
Yeah.
But some people told themselves it is okay to cry like a child, act like a child. And when they do it, and it becomes a habit and they reinforce it.
You will see this especially when getting injections. Those, corona. So if you see a 50-60-year-old also, they will behave like a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old may not behave like that. They will get the injection, but I have seen like 45-50-year-old women, they get so scared. They will keep pulling out the arm. Doctor has to hold them. You will not see them in any of the younger kids. So that's where, because they have in their mind, they think they have programmed that a needle will be like, an injection, a needle, everything will have the same effect, like a thorn. See, these are all similar things, right? A thorn in your, will have the same pinching effect, a needle will have the same pinching effect, a vaccine will have the same pinching. But then they have in their mind, they have trained that everything will have the same effect on their, they behave the same way. It need not be, but they trained their minds like that.
And because
that's why people are scared of needles.
Yes.
Some
Yeah.
people.
because they have assumed that they don't need to change.
And I think now if we relate that to self-awareness,
Yeah.
since they were not self-aware of how much pain that particular thing is causing them,
Yeah.
that's why they were not able to come out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's an automatic behavior.
Yeah. Very, very good point. And I will pop in one more word: mindfulness.
Right.
Have you heard that word, mindfulness? So mindfulness teaches you that whatever you are experiencing, whatever you are anticipating, whatever is the end result, be mindful of everything. So mindfulness is a very powerful technique. When you are eating food, when you are totally mindful of what the senses are receiving and what they are telling you, what is the kind of experience it is resulting in, that is a powerful practice of self-awareness. And even more powerful, even more bigger practice is, suppose, let us say you asked for something, you wanted a toy. You asked for a video game or a book or something, some kind of a toy. Then there is an anticipated pleasure here. That means when I receive this, it will be so great, so beautiful, I'll enjoy it so much. This is anticipated pleasure. But when you actually get it, you will get some pleasure. Compare that anticipated and the actual. The actual is always much, much less than the anticipated. And people do not have this much of this long awareness. If you can expand your self-awareness to this long, you observe what is the anticipated pleasure, make a note of it, and wait, and you get it, and you observe what is this pleasure, the actual pleasure, make a note of it, compare it. That is real mindfulness.
And that holds good for pain also. That's
Yeah.
why the fear of needles.
That's why I
It's
mentioned
going to
this.
be very painful, but it's actually not.
Yeah, so self-awareness, mindfulness requires constant attention, awareness, observation, listening, watching, recording. It is required for every scientist. It is required for everybody. Okay? Now your question.
So let's say,
Last question.
let's say I have more tamoguna, little less rajasguna, and then very less sattvaguna. So can I change my ways and make myself have more sattvaguna?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's the idea, right? I'm telling you're cultivating your swabhava. But swabhava cannot be cultivated tomorrow. Tomorrow you can't change it. It's very slow process. That's the reason why it is so important that you don't develop huge conflicts with it. You come and stay in some kind of alignment and slowly steer it, change it. So he can. And in Puranas you see so many stories of Brahmana becoming Kshatriya, Kshatriya becoming Brahmana. Any example can anybody tell?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Kshatriya becoming Brahmana Vishwamitra.
There you go.
And then Brahmana becoming Kshatriya Parsurama.
Yeah. Excellent. And there are the other intermixture too. Varna Sankaras are also there. For example, Suta clan is there. Suta is Brahmana Kshatriya combination. And there is also this Shravana Kumar, Sudra Vaishya Sankara. So this in present world, most people,
We are all
regardless
Sudras and
of what
Vaishyas.
they are born in, they're not like hereditary Brahmins. Doesn't matter. Everybody is Vaishya Sudra combination. Because what are we doing? We are working in service industry.
Right.
We are working for money. So everybody is being Vaishya and Sudra combination. So we're all Shravana Kumaras. So the best approach, best dharma for us is to take care of our parents very well, worship our parents almost like gods, like in Panduranga Maharcham movie or whatever, and Swabhava aligned that. But our Swabhava is not that. Like for example, I was also in that route, but until I figured out what my Swabhava is, I did not come into this route. Right? So similarly, you can by Shastra study. Shastra is like a lamp. You can shine it and go inward. And we can understand our Swabhava. Great questions. Wow. She knows so much stuff.
Ridhima silent గా ఉంటుంది కానీ she is also amazing.
Ridhima is absorbed. She's an absorber. Yeah. Yeah. Om Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha.